why have you let one of your MPs who's just resigned go on a holiday to climb Everest?
Well, look, I'm relaxed about Andrew Bailey taking some time out. It was a pretty significant and big decision that he made to resign, and it's important that he has some time to clear his head. He'll be back here next week doing his electorate work, as we would expect him to.
You signed off on that leave?
Yes, I think it's appropriate that after a big decision like that he's allowed some time out to clear his head. It's not the thing that I would be doing, going to base camp. It's not. I might choose to do it in a different way. But the bottom line is, look, each their own, and it's important that he has some time to clear his head, and that's entirely appropriate.
Why are you polling so poorly?
Look, I mean, we've got, it's a tough time for Kiwis. Polls are bouncing around a lot. Our job is to focus on what New Zealanders want, and that is all about us fixing the economy and making sure we get money into Kiwis' back pockets. And I can tell you, don't give it a lot of thought. I'm here each and every day making sure that we're actually growing the economy. That's why we're doing the infrastructure summit. That's why we're going to India. Those are the things that are actually going to power up the economy and get Kiwis more cash in their pockets.
They're not bouncing around that much, though, are they?
Sorry?
There's a trend of Labour overtaking you.
Well, I just say to you, look, I never have obsessed too much on polls, as you know, when we've talked about them in the past. It's the same position. I'm here to do a job, and the job is to turn New Zealand around. The job is to get our economy sorted. It is to restore law and order and to deliver better health and education, and that's what we're focused on. So I think me talking about myself and polls isn't particularly helpful. I think what's actually really important is getting into the work and fixing things and getting things sorted for Kiwis.
Sorry. When exactly did you grant Andrew Bailey's request for leave, or to not be here for a parliamentary sitting leave?
At the time when he resigned, around that era and that week that followed after that.
And why not wait? Why could he not wait until a recess block?
Well, I just would suggest to you that as a constituent MP, we actually get really busy in our recess weeks. We actually are working there as well. We're not on a break. We may not be here in Wellington in the Parliament, but we are working really hard. I've got 45 constituent MPs that do work incredibly hard in their recess period, as I do as well.
You're happy for MPs to take personal time during sitting blocks?
Well, look, I think in the circumstances, just take a step back. We had an individual who had made a really significant and big and emotional decision for him, right? Quite rightly, and I back him for the decision that he made. I think it's not unreasonable to allow him some time off to actually clear his head. He's chosen to go overseas and do what he needs to do to clear his head. That's acceptable. He's back here next week working in his electorate in Port Waikato.
What's your view on the idea of having a register for MPs' attendance?
Sorry?
What's your view on the idea of having a register for MPs' attendance?
It's not something I've thought about. What I want to make sure is that all of my team are working incredibly hard, and he worked incredibly hard as a minister on his portfolios. It's incredibly disappointing. It was a significant decision that he made, and I think if you look at other governments where there's been people who have come out of the ministry and they might need a change of a beat of time just to process it and to clear their head, I think they're entitled to that, and I actually think it's good leadership to actually enable people to do that. Sorry, Joe.
One of the issues that has been plaguing the government is the school lunch program.
Yeah.
Are you prepared to tolerate more exploding lunches, second-degree burns of kids, or are you at the point now where you are actually considering the contract with Compass and whether perhaps they aren't meeting their obligations under that contract?
What we saw last week was utterly unacceptable. I was pleased to see David Seymour take really swift and fast action on that. He reached out to the family, he's spoken with them, he's taken immediate action to suspend those type of meals, as you well know, and he's got a real, he's working his way through the issues to make sure that what we contracted for is actually what is being delivered. So look, that was a terrible incident, a really unfortunate one. Something that, you just got huge heart for a parent sitting there while their child's been burnt through an exploding lunch like that. But I think, in fairness, the Minister took pretty rapid response to engage with the family, but more importantly, to actually suspend those types of food lunches.
About whether they are fulfilling the contract. So what is the threshold for you? I mean, if there are more instances of what we saw last week and other issues that have taken place over recent weeks and months, would that be enough for you to reconsider that contract, or can you just lay out for the public what the threshold is that you would reconsider? Well,
as I said before, David Seymour is responsible and accountable for working through and making sure we're getting what we have contracted for.
He's with you, though?
Yes, he and I have talked many times on the issue. And what I'd say to you is he's working his way through those issues, and he needs some time to be able to do that. He's making some progress. There are clearly issues where food is not up to scratch, as we have said before, and he's got to make sure that the contractor is held to account account to make sure they're delivering what we contracted for.
Yes, we talked about term 2 being the point that he would expect things to have changed.
Yep.
Are you willing for what we have seen up until this point, including the exploding lunches, the burning, the halal meals not being met, all of that, are you okay with that continuing up until that deadline?
No, I want it
that
resolved
David
as
Seymour-
quickly as possible. We want to make sure that we've got a competent, good school lunch program to support kids who don't have lunches so they can learn. That is the reason and motivation for what we're doing. We've got some challenges, as you know, about the food not being up to standard or scratch. The contracts need to be enforced and what the obligations have been and actually delivered. And David's working his way, I think, through those issues really well with that supplier and that contractor. We expect it to improve. We need to improve.
And if you want it sorted before term 2, which is the deadline that David's given himself,
Yep.
then I come back to my original question. What will the threshold be for you to reconsider that contract with Compass? Is it more of the same? What is the threshold?
Well, we want to make sure that we're getting the proportion of meals that we have contracted for in specification delivered by the contractor. That is what the job is about. We are getting, in many cases, we are actually getting good on time and in full performance and delivery, but in some cases we're not. And David is hunting those issues down, and there'll be root causes as to what's causing those issues, or the poor quality of food, or whatever the delivery of food. He's working his way through those issues. I agree with him. The second term is good. We've had 3 conversations in the last week around it, and I've got every confidence he is on top of those issues. He is working his way through them. They are challenging, but he will work that through with the contractor.